Uh, Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to Origins College. Uh, Today, I am going to make this video on Python programming language and how does Python work. So we are going to start with how does the Python code gets executed in our computer. Today's lesson is that I will be discussing in both English and Bengali as per your comfortable languages. You may hear those. Whatever I will discuss, I will translate in both English and Bengali. So let us start with why do we need a programming language? আমাদের প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ কেন দরকার? তার থেকেও বড় কোয়েশ্চেন হলো যে আমাদের ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজই কেন দরকার? আমাদের ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ যদি দরকার হয়, আমাদের ফর ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ উই নিড টু ফর কমিউনিকেশন পারপাস উই নিড আ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ. We need a language to communicate with each other. Let's say now, let us say a situation arises that you know English, you know Bengali, but someone from German comes to speak to you and start speaking in Germany. Will you be able to understand? No. আমরা যদি মানে অন্য কোনো একটা ভাষার কেউ এসে আমরা যে ভাষাটা জানি না সেরকম ভাষার কোনো লোক যদি এসে আমাদের মানে তাদের নিজেদের ভাষায় যদি কথা বলতে স্টার্ট করে আমরা কি বুঝতে পারবো? পারবো না। তার মানে কি আমাদের তার জন্য একটা ট্রান্সলেটারের দরকার মাঝখানে। সেম ওয়েতে সিমিলারলি we need a language to communicate with the computer. Computer doesn't understand our language. So to make if that is so, therefore we are having some languages like for example we will be using Python and there are other languages like C, C++, Java, etc. Now this then what does computer understand? Computer only understands zeros and ones. The binary numbers we call it zeros and ones. Okay. Now let us say for example like whatever software we are using, আমরা যে কোনো সফটওয়্যার ইউজ করছি তাতে আমরা যাই টাইপ করি না কেন whatever we type that will get converted into binary numbers. Okay. Let us say 8. So 8 will get converted to 1000. Hope you guys know binary conversion from decimal to binary. If it is not known, let me discuss with you. Let's say I am considering 8. So you just divide it with 2 multiple times and see what is the remainder. So if we divide 8 by 2, then the quotient comes to be 4 and remainder is 0. Okay. Now in the next step, we will be dividing this 4 by 2. Let's say 4 by 2. So the quotient is 2 and remainder is 0 again. Now let us in next step we will be dividing 2 by 2. That is in quotient comes to be 1 and remainder is 0 again. And finally we divide 1 by 2. Now here the confusion arises for most of the people. You will say that the quotient is means 0.5 and the remainder is 0, but that is not the fact. We will when converting from decimal to binary or some other number systems, যখন আমরা decimal থেকে binary বা অন্য number system এ convert করব, তখন আমরা কোশেন্ট অ্যাজ এ হোল নেব, মানে পয়েন্টের পরে কিছু কনসিডার করবো না, মানে কোশেন্ট একটা আসছে, দ্যাট ইজ কোশেন্ট উইল বি জিরো because two zeros are zero is lesser than one, so lesser than dividend, so two zeros a quotient is zero and remainder is one. This is what the things. Just think like a kid, as if you don't know what is point and all. So when you learn division first, you consider this to be the quotient, and remainder was something else. Then now, in order to get the final binary number, we just see it from down to up. That is 1 0 0 0. See, the last remainder is 1. Why I stopped here? Because the quotient has come to be 0. Quotient যেখানেই 0 হয়ে যাবে আমরা stop করে যাব. So this is our binary equivalent. The remainders, if we look from down to up, so it's 1 0 0 0. So 1 0 0 0 is the binary form of 8. Okay. Hope it is clear to you guys. So মানে whatever number we take, যে কোনো নাম্বারই আমরা নিই না কেন, এইভাবেই আমরা বাইনারিতে কনভার্ট করব। সিমিলারলি বাইনারি টু ডেসিমেলও আছে, বাট অতটা ডিটেলে আমি যাচ্ছি না। বাইনারি টু ডেসিমেল, ডেসিমেল টু এনি, বিকজ আমাদের মেজর কনসার্ন আজকের সেশনটা হচ্ছে যে দ্যাট ইজ দ্য প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। ওকে, সো নাও what does this programming languages do? Now machine understands only ones and zeros. That is, let us think about, if we are a kid, what is computer? What is actually a computer? Now, computer is a electronic device. Computer একটা electronic device. So if that is so, if computer is an electronic device, that means it needs some current or electricity to give output. So what is the first step we do when we bring a computer and laptop at home? So we first switch it on, and from where is it getting a power? From the battery. That means some current or voltage is coming, some voltage, currents, these all factors are working. So these ones and zeros actually represents the high volt. One represents the high voltage, and zeros represent low voltage. Now you may ask me that you talked about the numbers, মানে তুমি আমাদেরকে নাম্বারের ব্যাপারে বললে, বাট অ্যালফাবেটস বা অন্য ক্যারেক্টার্স কি করে কনভার্ট হয়? তো অ্যালফাবেটস বা অন্য নাম্বারের জন্য অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমরা তো অ্যালফাবেটটা জাস্ট লিখছি, বাট ইন ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড অ্যাকচুয়ালি এ has means A to Z, all these have ASCII codes. Like A has 65 capital A, B has 67, and so on, dot dot dot, up to that, up to Z. Z has up to 90. Okay, and similarly small a has a ASCII value of 97, then small b has 98. Okay, then and so on, dot dot dot, Z is equal to it's 122. Okay, yeah. So Z is equal to up to small z, it's 120. Now in between there are special characters like dollar, exclamation mark, hashtag, percentage, modulus, etc. So those characters also have some ASCII values as per the choice. So these ASCII, when we type an alphabet, these ASCII values get converted to their equivalent binary form, and as a result, we get our equivalent output. Means when we type A, the 65 gets converted into binary, its equivalent binary code, and then some process is being done by the computer, and then whatever is our desired output, we get to see the A in our WordPad or whatever the software is. Now here comes the proof. Now imagine, imagine we are typing daily, we are using uh, a lots of documents, and in those documents there are millions of characters, obviously thousands of words, and then millions of characters. Now think, even if I am typing a single line sentence, let's say an apple a day keeps doctor away. Imagine, computer doesn't understand all this. Computer understands only binary language. So if there is no existence of a programming language, no existence of some software that exists who will convert this into binary, so you need to perform that job, that you need to type the binary equivalent for A, then for N, then even for the space. The space has a ASCII value of 32, white space. White space is also a character which has an ASCII value of 32. Okay. So for that also you need to convert to binary. Okay. Then Apple, for Apple A individually, then P individually, again for that P. Now imagine how hectic it will be just for a single line to convert each character into its binary equivalent. So that is where our programming languages come. It helps us, just you need to type certain code, just you need to follow certain grammar, just like you follow in English and Bengali, whatever language. So our coding language, the programming language also has some grammar. তো কিছু grammar আছে যেটা আমরা follow করে just simple codes we will be writing, and that code will be converted into its binary equivalent by the PV. In case of, since we are using Python, the Python virtual machine will do that for us, that it will convert each of your code into its binary equivalent, and your code will help to generate whatever it will be the user, whatever the user is typing. So basically it will be communicating with the computer. It is a basically the programming language is a way to communicate with computer. Now we don't know computer's language, you can also think of a programming language as a translator. Let's say someone from Germany or France comes to speak to you and you don't know their language. Now, if today, let's say Messi or Ronaldo comes and speaks to you in their language, you won't be able to understand. Even you won't be able to enjoy the World Cup if there is no translator in between. The translator translates their language, whatever they are speaking, in English, obviously, because English is a communicating language. It's worldwide popular. So you need a translator. So similarly, the programming language is doing the same task for us. প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজেরও সেম টাস্ক, মানে আমরা যখন কোনো অন্য দেশের লোক বা মেসি বা অন্য দেশের কোনো লোক, অন্য ভাষার কোনো লোক যদি আমাদের কাছে কথা বলতে আসে, আমরা তো ডেফিনেটলি তাদের ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটা বুঝবো না। আমাদের একজন ট্রান্সলেটারের দরকার। তো এই ট্রান্সলেটারের কাজটাই করছে একটা প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। Now, as I mentioned, as I named, hope you have copied these items, whatever I have written in here. Okay, so I am removing this. Now, we will be dealing with Python programming language. So, Python is a programming language. Okay, just like we in our daily life, we use English, Bengali, Hindi. আমরা বিভিন্ন ভাষারই ইউজ করি ডে টু ডে কমিউনিকেট করার জন্য। So Python, what, how does it work? Okay. So let's say this is your, in Python programming language, you need to type some code that will do your job. Let's say this is your source code. মানে যেটা তোরা লিখছিস, whichever code you are typing, this is your source code. Okay, this is your source code. Now I'm typing some short code. You don't need to understand the meaning for now. Just understand that some code is being written. Okay, I am typing, let's say, print hello world. Okay, it's a Python code only, but for now, just consider it to be some code because you don't know the syntaxes and all, don't know the grammar of Python. Just it's a the first time you are learning Python, so first alphabets of Python. Okay, so this is your source code, world of computers. Okay. Okay. Now, before coming to this, our programming languages are divided into three subparts. There are three types of programming languages. Number one is a high level programming language. Okay, let me draw the example. There are three kinds of programming languages. So number one is high level programming language. Number two is mid level programming language. Number three is low level programming language. So now coming to the subcategories. So what are high level programming languages? A high level programming languages are those where you don't need to do much of the effort. It's more of a human programmer friendly kind of language where you just need to type the everything is done by that programming language only. It has its own virtual machines and all. Then it just you need to type certain simple codes. Okay, just you need to know the grammar of the language, like whatever you're speaking, you know the grammar only. Now for the programming language also, just you need to do the syntax is the grammar of any programming languages. You need to know the syntax, you just need to know that how to write a code in that language. Now everything, as I said, that machine understands only zeros and ones, the binary numbers. So high level programming languages just convert your code into that zeros and ones. Okay, into that zeros and ones in machine language. In order, uh, in short, it's in high level programming languages convert your code directly into your machine language. Okay. Oh, what are mid level programming languages? Before coming to mid level programming languages, let us know what are low level languages. Now, low level programming languages are those where you need to do a much of effort. Just like I have taken the example for a few minutes back. Example of this is assembly language, where you need to convert most of your code into machine language directly by yourself. Like the zeros and ones, you need to do the effort. In earlier days, when computer was first invented, actually these patterns were being followed. Now, slowly, as new innovations came, new inventions came, যত যত নতুন ইনভেনশন হয়েছে উইথ টাইম, তত কিন্তু আমাদের লো লেভেল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ থেকে আমরা হাই লেভেল মিড লেভেলের দিকে মুভ করতে পেরেছি। খুব কম কয়েকটাই আমাদের হাই লেভেল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ আছে, লাইক যেটা আমরা শিখবো, দ্যাট ইজ পাইথন ইজ আ হাই লেভেল প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ, লাইক ইউর জাভা ইজ আ হাই লেভেল প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। ওকে, mostly you can say that all object oriented programming languages. Now don't I will not uh, you will not understand what is object oriented programming language now, but just know that all object oriented programming languages like Java, Python, okay, C++, they are high level programming. Now what are mid level programming? These mid level programming languages are those which have both characteristics of high level programming languages as well as that of low level programming languages. The example of this is C programming language. In C programming language, or means in mid level programming languages, what you need to do now, actually you need to know the basics of computer also, as well how to work with the low level languages, and as well as you need to know what is the high level programming language and how to work with high level programming languages. Now I hope I am able to make it clear that what are these three subcategories of programming languages. If there remains any doubt, there will be classes in Google Meet where you can clear up your doubts. Okay. For now, just know high level programming languages are those which we will be using these kind of languages only. We will not go towards low level programming languages. Okay. Mid level we will be using sometimes, but for now, Python is a high level programming language. Okay. Now coming to this part. So let's say this is your source code. How the Python code gets executed. Now there are two types of things. One is a compiler, another one is the interpreter. Okay. Oh, what is the job of a compiler? Now, compiler, what it checks whether all your syntaxes are correct in a code. If there is by chance any syntax error, the compiler will not execute the code. So, what does compiler do? Actually, it reads your code, your source code. So, the source কোডটা একবারে মানে compiler একবারে পুরোটা read করে, ওকে, সিনট্যাক্স এরর যেগুলো যে জায়গাগুলো আমাদের গ্রামাটিক্যাল এরর্স, সিনট্যাক্স এরর্স আমরা বলি প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের ক্ষেত্রে, সেই জায়গাগুলোকে রিড করে ওই জায়গাগুলোকে মার্ক করে, ওকে, এই জায়গাগুলোকে আমাদেরকে রিটার্ন করে দেয়। তো এই জায়গাগুলো যতক্ষণ অব্দি না আমরা কারেক্ট করতে পারছি, টিল দ্যাট টাইম আমাদের কোড কিন্তু এক্সিকিউট হবে। ওকে, সো ইট গেটস কম্পাইলড। So what does an interpreter do? An interpreter reads the code line by line and executes each line, and then wherever it finds an error, okay, then it stops its execution. That is where the difference between compiler and interpreter is. It's your compiler. Your code gets compiled in case of Python. Okay. So after your code gets compiled, let's say for the first time you are running the code. Okay. For the first time, just you have written the code. তোরা প্রথমবার কোডটাকে একদম এক্সিকিউট করছিস। Now, first time what will happen? It will generate a byte code. I am just stating here. Okay. There are two kinds of execution. One is first time execution. One is execution which is after first time, means you are trying second time or third time. Just you are checking your code, or, but you are not making any kind of changes in that same code provided. Then now for the first time, I'm marking it as first time. First time যখন generate হচ্ছে, then there comes a byte code. Okay, this is your byte code. Okay. Okay. And now second time, now from bytecode it will pass to the PBM. Okay. Bytecode is just an encrypted form of your code. Okay. Encrypted বলতে এটা হচ্ছে highly secure, যাতে কেউ এই কোডটাকে মিসইউজ না করতে পারে। বাইট কোড ইজ ইউনিক from machine to machine. Okay. Bytecode is unique from machine to machine. Like whatever bytecode your computer is generating, no other computer will generate the same bytecode for the same code. It will generate some other kind of bytecode. So machine to machine bytecode unique হয়. So bytecode is completely safe and secure. It's encrypted. Like in WhatsApp, you have seen that it's written sometimes comes your messages are end-to-end encrypted. What does that mean? Your messages are gets converted to such a code which will not be understood by any human. Your phone generates some encrypted code, and then WhatsApp server generates some encrypted code. So no one will able to understand whatever you are typing in your message. Even the WhatsApp founder or whoever is running WhatsApp server will not be able to understand what you have written. It's only you know who what you have written, and it's up to your obviously your privacy is maintained in that way. Okay? That is the work of the bytecode. Now I should extend this one also. This is your second time. Second time or more. Okay. Means it's after first time if you are checking. Okay. Here comes your PVM, Python Virtual Machine. Your PVM, Python Virtual Machine. Oh, what is the job of this Python Virtual Machine? Python Virtual Machine because a Python Virtual Machine এরই actually কাজ যে বেসিক্যালি তোরা যে সোর্স কোডটা লিখেছিলি এটা কম্পাইল হয়ে গেছে, কম্পাইলেশনে কিন্তু কোনো এরর আসেনি. Your compilation didn't get any error, so you approach this step. Now your bytecode gets generated. From that bytecode, uh, what happens? Your Python virtual machine reads your code, and it converts each of those line into machine language. That is zeros and ones. Zeros, zero, 100, whatever the code you have written as per that. It generates equivalent machine code. Okay. Now, why does the bytecode not get generated second time? You can understand it clearly because it is already being generated in the first time. So bytecode by that time is already present. Whenever you are checking for the second time, provided you didn't made any changes in the source code, you didn't made any that like if you have added some more lines, print something, then there will be again compilation, then a new bytecode gets generated. নতুন একটা বাইট কোড জেনারেটেড হয় যদি তোরা সোর্স কোডে কোনো চেঞ্জ করিস. নাও তোরা যদি সোর্স কোডে কোনো চেঞ্জেস না করিস, সোর্স কোডে যদি কোনো চেঞ্জেস না হয়, দেন মানে সেম কোডটাই তোরা ট্রাই করছিস, সেম কোডের জন্য সেম বাইট কোড অলরেডি ফার্স্ট টাইম যেহেতু তোরা এক্সিকিউট করে ফার্স্ট টাইম রয়ে গেছে, সো ফার্স্ট টাইম এক্সিকিউট করার সময় যে বাইট কোডটা জেনারেট হয়েছে ওটাই তো বারবার রিড করবে না. ও একই কোডের জন্য বারবার বাইট কোড ডেফিনেটলি জেনারেটেড হবে না. Hope it is clear that how Python programs work. Okay. Now, actually, in detail, there are a variety of steps that goes on in Python virtual machine that I will be discussing now. How does Python virtual machine work exactly? Okay. So I am removing all this. Hope you have copied this everything. Okay. I will be discussing with you the about the Python virtual machine in detail. পাইথন ভার্চুয়াল মেশিনটা কিভাবে ওয়ার্ক করছে এক্স্যাক্টলি, মানে সোর্স কোডের যে কোডটা যেটা পাইথন ভার্চুয়াল মেশিন আমরা বাইট কোডটা রিড করার আগে আমাদের সোর্স কোডটা কিভাবে এক্সিকিউট হচ্ছে বেসিক্যালি. নাও গিভিং ইউ দ্য হেডিং সে 2016 পাইথন ভার্চুয়াল machine. In short, it's PVM. Okay. In short, it's PVM. In case of Java, there exists JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Any kind of object-oriented programming language has its own virtual machine. Okay. Now, what does this do in Python virtual machine? There are two kinds of stacks. Now, what is stack? What do you understand by stack? A stack actually is a kind of data structure you will learn when we will be going through the programming languages. It's a kind of data structure where the code which you have written gets executed in LIFO order. Okay, so that is why there exist two kinds of stacks. One will execute in LIFO order, then other will convert it into FIFO. Uh, exactly actually stack? Now giving a practical life example, তোদের বলি ধর তোরা মানে let's say you have kept a number of books one above another. Okay, একটার পর একটা বই তোরা রেখেছিস, একটার উপর একটা ধর চাপিয়েছিস। আর লেটস সে তোদের যখন দরকার, লেটস সে তোদের, আমি ধরলাম যে তোদের থার্ড বইটাই দরকার। তো তোরা যদি একদম মানে ডাইরেক্ট থার্ড বইটা টানতে যাস, তোরা তো পড়ে যায়, পুরো উপরের বইগুলো শুধু পড়ে যাবে তা থেকেও। বাট এখানে তো পড়ে যাওয়ার কনসেপ্ট মানে এখানে মেশিনের ক্ষেত্রে হলো না। বেসিক্যালি তোরা কি করবি যদি ভদ্রভাবে বইগুলো নিতে হয়, if you want to take the books properly, so what you will do, you will take up the last book first, last book will you will take up, then the second last, then the third last. Up to this, when you will come to the third book, that is the when third book will become your last book, then you will take your third book and then you will keep other books as it is. The same thing goes in stack. Okay. Now there exist two kinds of stack. Okay. Now I am adding here more lines, so it will be easy for you to understand. Let us make a completely different source code now. Let us say I have this long source code. Okay, this huge it is. Source code. এটা আমরা সোর্স কোড বানাচ্ছি। Let's say print this underline, print hello world. Okay, print hello world. Print programming languages. Now let's say print syntax. A variety of things I'm writing. I print. You can type your name also as well in print statement. Let's say I'm typing my name here for now. Yeah, just keep it as it is, this much code. Print the 4 lines of code. Okay, 4 lines of source code. Okay, so 4 lines of source code. Okay, now here will come into play two kinds of stack. Now one is a call stack, and the second one is your execution stack. Okay, call stack and execution stack. Let's say this is your call stack. Okay. Okay. So I'm giving it a different color. Let's say your call stack is orange and your execution stack, I'm giving it a green color. Just to make you understand that the two stacks are completely different. Okay. So this is your call stack. Call stack. Next is your execution stack. Execution stack. Okay. Now, what I said, what is the how does a stack work? Now it works in LIFO order. So in call stack, what will happen? Your last line of code, your last line of code, I'm sorry, I mean, it will be executed last. So call stack will execute everything last in LIFO order. So now it will start reading from the very first, that is print hello world. It one by one everything will come under this. Okay. So this is your stack. Okay. All the source code will slowly come into the stack. Okay. Now from here, as you know, the call stack works in LIFO order. So last one will come out first, then the second last, then the third last, definitely, as you know. So what will happen consequently if there, let's say if there was no execution stack, if the here somewhere directly your output screen is. Now this was the last code you have written. Okay. This was the last code. So whatever you have written last, you would have got to see it first. Then whatever you have written second last, you would have got to see it in the second time. Okay. Second line of code would be what you have written is second last. Okay. So will it be good for you? Means what? Obviously, something if you have written first, you wanted it to get executed first. Let's say here I am just writing a print code. Okay. If you are doing any kind of calculation, let's say you want to do your multiplication first, then you want to do your addition. Okay. Or even if you want to execute a state line of statement, you want to see that whatever you have written the statement in the first line, that should get executed first. That is why you have written it in the first line. Na? So what happens if there is no execution stack? কারণ যদি কোনো execution stack না থাকে, if there is no execution stack, your last line will come to your output first. Last line এ তোদের আউটপুটটা সামনে আসবে, ঠিক আছে? Here comes the role of the execution stack. Now what happens in execution stack? Now from call stack it collects everything. Now when it goes from call stack to the execution stack, one by one it gets popped out, means deleted from the call stack. Okay, it's like your RAM. In RAM, RAM is a volatile memory. So once it gets executed, it no more remains in your memory. Similarly, the stack, it no more remains the memory. Okay. So from LIFO order, it is getting collected to the execution stack. Okay. It's inserted into your execution stack. Okay. Okay. Now, if you observe this execution stack, see what you have written first has come to the top, and now stack follows LIFO order. So everything will come to your output screen in the LIFO order, isn't it or not? In your output screen, everything will get come in the LIFO order. This is, let's say, your output screen. Output, output. So let's say now this is obviously your last code, and you have written it first. So print hello world you have written first in your source code. Remember, if you try to remember. So print hello world gets printed first, then comes your print programming languages, and now it gets removed from the execution stack as well. Then print syntax, then comes your print this whatever you have written. Okay. See, whatever was your desired output, actually this print statement goes from the output. In output you will only be able to see hello world, because print is just a syntax, it's a grammar. So you will just be able to see this hello world programming languages syntax, and all. Print statement won't come, but obviously execution of the last code is being done first. Getting my point? Print hello world was your first code, and it came as last code to your execution stack, and as a result you are getting your first output in the very first line. Okay, understood the purpose of, বুঝতে পারলে what is the purpose of call stack and execution stack? Hope you understood. If you are having any kind of doubts, okay, you may clarify it in the Google Meet class that I will be taking in your week. Okay.